So I talked in another video about tenant rights, but of course, the owner has rights too. And of course they do, because that's their property, and they have the right to treat the property as they see fit. So here's some key rights of our owners. They have the right to prompt payment. There's a lease agreement, and the lease contract typically for us says the lease is due on the 1st and it's late by the 5th. And if we don't collect payment by the 5th, then we have a right to post a 3-day notice to quit or cure, meaning if you don't pay, the owner has a right to take possession back of the property. The tenant can try to contest that, and if they do, then that's going to throw us to small claims court, anywhere between 2 to 5 weeks later. And of course, we're going to tell the judge they didn't pay, and our owner wants the property back, so they can put another tenant in there. So that's the owner's right. The other one the owner has a right to his proper conduct. So in our contract says there's no smoking allowed in the premises. If they have one pet, they're only allowed one pet. There's supposed to be 2 occupants, only 2 occupants. If they violate those terms, then we have a right to put in it's called a cure. We want to cure the lease. And so if they don't get rid of the pet or the tenant, we have the right to evict on that basis as well. So they have the right for proper conduct. Still in the state of California, for a single family home, the owner has the right of possession. So let's say the tenant's been there 2-3 years and the owner decides, you know what, I either don't want this tenant or I want to take the property back to sell it or move back in. We have the right to give that tenant a 60-day notice to vacate. Lease is up, you need to move out. And now in California, if it's a multi-unit building, an older building, that's not true. The tenant has, we only can evict a tenant for just cause, meaning they don't pay as agreed or don't behave as agreed, but we can't automatically just give a 60-day notice to vacate. But still to this day, on single-family homes and condos, we can. The other right is the key one. We have to give the tenant a proper notice when entry to the property, typically called the 24-hour notice entry. And if the tenant doesn't object to it, then 24 hours later, we're going to knock on the door. If it's not there, we can use the key and go in to effect a repair, do an inspection, whatever it might be. Check on make sure they're in compliance with the terms of the contract. If the tenant says, no, I don't want you coming in, we can't go in. But we can always go in if there's an emergency. The courts are very clear about this. If there's a water leak and we're aware of it, we can go on the property. Of course, a fire, we can have access to the property. Any kind of emergency, a physical emergency, somebody's in danger. So the owner has the right to access to the property in case of emergency. And the owner always has the right to sell the property, refinance the property. It's their asset, and the tenant has to comply with us when they want to do that. So those are some of the owner rights that are important to our clients.